This AIANTA conference is obviously a little different than we had originally planned, and the presentations are a little bit different. So a big part of our world here at Cherokee Nation is our mandated mask policy. Obviously, I know that you probably can't hear me that well through it since my mic's down here, but this is just a taste of what I want to talk about today. It was so great to hear Laura's presentation and see between casinos and culture, seeing Laura's great presentation with her casino property and her cultural amenities, and seeing, although we're so far away, there are some great similarities between those programs, and I think that builds the ultimate strength within Indian country. I want to cover a little bit today about our casino operation. I'm not a casino person. I have been working for more than 15 years in cultural tourism development, but our casino world is a big part of our company for Cherokee Nation, and it really drives the decision about what we do and how we operate as a business as well. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how our cultural tourism program is structured, how it's been invested in, and how tribal gaming has allowed us to continue to invest in cultural enterprises. I also want to talk to you about how the casinos and their policies and their response to COVID-19 has helped drive some decisions that we've made for all of our cultural properties. Bianca, I thank you so much for the introduction. I want to talk to you a little bit more so you understand beyond the bio how our operations work here at Cherokee Nation Cultural Tourism and how we've responded to COVID-19. Cherokee Nation was out of the gate pretty early with a mandated mask policy, and our chief and leadership has helped really drive the decisions within our state. Depending on what state you're in around the country, there's a lot of controversy regarding COVID-19. But for us, the health and safety of our employees, our guests, our visitors really comes first. So I want to talk to you and share what we've been doing that may help you in your area. So a little bit first about who Cherokee Nation is. So Cherokee Nation is located in northeastern Oklahoma. We are the largest federally recognized tribe in the United States. Our jurisdiction, our reservation, is just over 7,000 square miles. It's filled with scenic lakes, rivers. We're in the foothills of the Ozark Mountains. And within that setting, we have a number of cultural properties and historic properties that date just past the Trail of Tears. There's more than 370,000 citizens within the Cherokee Nation, making it the largest federally recognized tribe. And 137,000 of those citizens live right here on the Cherokee Nation Reservation. Beyond casinos, our business enterprises have more than a $2 billion economic impact within the state of Oklahoma. So without this, without who we are as a tribe, we would not be able to invest in our cultural tourism efforts. A little bit about our gaming. So right now, today, Cherokee Nation operates 10 gaming properties. We have more than 4,000 employees within our entertainment portfolio, with over 10 million annual visits. So why this is important to our culture and how we choose to invest in our culture is just about 20 years ago, as Cherokee Nation was entering gaming compacts with the state of Oklahoma, and as our tribal gaming was, those compacts allowed us to grow our gaming opportunities, and it allowed us to, when those opportunities continue to grow to the current portfolio we have now, about 10 years ago, we started strategically investing in cultural tourism development. Now, Cherokee Nation's cultural tourism program is a lot different than those all around the world. So happy to see Laura's program and see what they're doing and great things they're doing. But Cherokee Nation has taken a little bit different approach to our tourism. We operate more than just a destination marketing organization or a CVB. We've really invested in our historic and cultural assets. Now that decision to invest in cultural tourism, of course, didn't come lightly. It's taken a number of resources, and the alignment under our business arm, which at that time, more than a decade ago, was within our casino arm, which for some people, when I talked to and had conversations with other tribes, they've seen that as a challenge. But for us, it was really a great opportunity. And that's because our culture, our gaming arm, really understood hospitality. They understood customer service. They understood marketing. And they understood business development. And so all of those things and those core competencies have really allowed us to create a tourism program like no other. Another aspect of related to casinos and culture for Cherokee Nation, outside of our cultural tourism program that is focused on our visitor amenities and our museums, more than a decade ago, Cherokee Nation passed a 1% art law that mandated that 1% of all construction, gaming, non-gaming, was specifically allocated for the procurement of Cherokee original cultural art. So what this has done has now all of our casino properties, when visitors come inside, they get a great look at who the Cherokee people are. They get a great look at our art. They get a better understanding about our history and our collective story as a nation. Today, that collection has more than 5,000 pieces of art. It's worth more than $5 million. And we have art across 30 other tribally owned properties, including our casino portfolio. So any day somebody comes into Cherokee Nation, if they come in to game, or if they come in to be a visitor within one of our museums, they're getting a glimpse of the Cherokee story. And we hope that's something they leave with. A little bit more about our cultural tourism portfolio. So as I mentioned, Cherokee Nation took the strategic decision to align its cultural tourism program under the business arm responsible for hospitality. And what that allowed us to do was to create some real efficiencies in terms of cultural site development, retail, welcome centers. And so today, across our more than 66,000 acres of landscape, we operate 6 museums, 3 gift shops, 2 welcome centers. We have an original exhibits program, which creates more than 8 original museum exhibits per year. We welcome thousands of school groups across our museums and cultural sites every year. And we have more than 100 original programs each year, programs and events. I saw Laura's great programs in her video, some of the moccasin classes and some things like that, which we offer similar things like that here in Cherokee Nation. So a little bit about our museum portfolio. Most of our museums have been developed where history actually happened. So more than 2 decades ago, Cherokee Nation had a large collection of cultural resources, some of the most historic buildings within the state of Oklahoma. In fact, the oldest government building in the state of Oklahoma is right here in the Cherokee Nation Reservation, originally built in 1844, just a few years after Cherokees traveled along the Trail of Tears. It's our Supreme Court Museum. It was opened just a decade ago. And this museum, set in an 1844 historic structure, tells the story from that building's perspective. So what history actually happened in that building? So it tells the story of our Cherokee judicial system. And then the Cherokee Advocate newspaper, which was printed right there in that building. It was printed in both English and Cherokee. So when we started cultural tourism development more than a decade ago, we took a strategic plan to look at our cultural historic resources with a thought of interpreting those in a way that would tell the story, the Cherokee story from our perspective, from the Cherokee perspective. All of that collection of sites, we started with the idea of our Cherokee National Capital, so our nation's capital, which is located in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. The idea was to build a hub of cultural development where visitors could come in and learn a collective story about our history. Now, we are very blessed in the fact that we have a high density of cultural sites within a few mile radius, right within our nation's capital, our Cherokee National Capital, I should say. And so our plan, what had been to develop that hub, and then as the years progressed, to develop those spokes, those outlying sites that are a little further, that may take a full day trip for a visitor to experience. And we've been doing just that. And so now we've developed 6 museums. We operate a number of gift shops, of course, our welcome centers. And we understand that to keep visitors coming, we have to create new and original programs. And we do that. We do just that every year. Next slide. Oh, there it goes. All right. So, and we've continued to do that. We did that up until March 15th. And we were so excited with our new original programming. Rewind to last year, last August, Cherokee Nation, we opened kind of our crown jewel, our 1869 historic Capitol building, which for years has served as our judicial offices, our modern day judicial offices. Last August, we opened that as a full-scale museum that told the Cherokee story from time immemorial all the way to present day. Fast forward a couple months, we have a whole new original exhibit schedule planned for that museum. We have artist talks, artist showcase, new exhibits, exciting programming to happen every day, every weekend. Well, depending where you were at around the country in March, for us, it was March 16th when things started getting really serious. We were so excited with all of our spring programming. But as the COVID-19 pandemic took its toll across the state and began to become a very real or a very much reality within the state of Oklahoma, Cherokee Nation, through executive order, made the decision to close operations, to stop all non-essential business, to, for the most part, send workers, employees home. And depending where you're at around the country, you probably have a very familiar story. So what we did, we took the initial step to close all of our cultural sites. Like most people around the world, we may have been a little naive in thinking that this would happen for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But as time went on, we realized that COVID-19 was here with us. And so we have to figure out how do we operate in this COVID-19 world. Our museums, our gaming enterprises, all stayed closed for quite a while. Like the COVID-19 stories around the world, this was an ever-changing situation from day to day, from week to week. I know our human resources group had a big task of figuring out how Cherokee Nation was taking care of its employees. Cherokee Nation continued to pay all of its employees during the whole time through the pandemic and while operations were suspended. And so as things began to evolve, we tried to understand how we moved on in the midst of COVID-19. So I said there's some efficiencies with being within our being under Cherokee Nation businesses alongside our gaming opportunities, our casinos. So as casinos started opening back up, as people started getting back to business, Cherokee Nation took the leadership and took some pretty proactive steps to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. Our chief was one of the first to have a mandated mask policy before they were mandated within any of our communities, any of our cities, or any of our businesses. As the casinos began to reopen, they did so by creating a responsible hospitality plan. Their operations began to resume in June, and our cultural tourism operations, we waited till August to open some of those. And part of that was a strategic decision to get our casino operations back online and back in business before some of our other operations could come back online as well. But some of the things that the Responsible Hospitality Plan outlined, some of the things that Laura said rings true for us as well. So Cherokee Nation has a mandated mask policy. No matter what property you're on that Cherokee Nation owns, you are required, whether you're an employee or a guest, to wear a face covering. They also have a health screening process at each of our gaming properties and each of our cultural sites as well. So there's a questionnaire that asks you, do you have a cough? Have you been sneezing? There's a temperature check. Everyone undergoes this non-invasive health screen, which includes a complete temperature check. If you don't pass the health screen, you don't pass the temperature check, or you refuse to wear a mask, you simply don't come onto a Cherokee Nation property. We also implemented strict social distancing guidelines. So as I come to you today, I'm here with a couple coworkers. We're maintaining our social distance. There's a mask policy in place. We've also mandated cleaning protocols across all of our properties. The gaming properties have taken the lead, and they have a clean team, a team of people dedicated to doing nothing other than making sure that the space is clean and sanitized, so guests and team members can feel safe. We also rolled these same practices across all of our gaming properties. So fast forward to August, and we tried to figure out how to get our cultural sites back open as well. We took the same steps: mask policy, health screen, temperature check, enhanced cleaning and safety protocols. We followed, we stayed in alignment with the Gaming's Responsible Hospitality Plan and Cherokee Nation mandates, but we also took some additional steps. We leaned on some associations and organizations across the country that are in the sectors of business that we operate in. So the American Alliance of Museums, American Indian Alaska Native Tourism Association. And we looked at what are those steps that work in the gaming property that we need to handle a little bit different within our cultural properties. So we looked at reduced occupancy levels. We suspended all group tour operations through the end of this year. We canceled all in-person programming through the end of this year. We also put in some strict guidelines about how many people could be within a group. So if a family of more than 5 comes to our property, we restrict access based on those occupancy levels and based on how visitors are traveling together. We don't allow any tour operators through the end of this year. We don't allow any groups, any school groups, any civic or social groups. And so we've taken a couple of steps that are specific to how we operate within the market and how we operate our businesses to just take that extra step to make sure that our team members and our guests feel safe. Another thing, I want to talk to you a little bit about messaging. So post-COVID, or in the midst of COVID-19, I should say, but when thinking about reopening, we did a number of things. We, of course, put all those procedures in place and all those protocols in place, but we also began to think about how are we going to communicate this to the public? Now, today, in September, just a little over a month after we opened, I think people are more in a line of understanding and have an expectation about masks and temperature checks, health screens, all that. But when we were making the plans for this, folks still weren't there yet. So we thought, how do we communicate this to the public? How do we communicate these protocols to the public to ensure that as a guest comes to our property, they're not blindsided by the fact that they're going to have a health screen? So we really took the important step to get that messaging out there. You'll see in our advertisements, our messaging is, we're here, we're safe, when you're ready. We don't want a complete saturation of visitors. We want a safe amount of visitors. We want people to experience Cherokee history and culture, but we wanted them to do it safely. So we put that messaging out in the public. We also took the additional step of creating virtual tour experiences. So our groups that did not meet our criteria, our guests that did not meet our protocols, so they could still experience Cherokee history and culture. And we took that step and had all of our museums and cultural sites 3D scanned. And then we made all of those virtual tours available right on our website. You can check them out today at visitcherokenation.com. And the other thing beyond that is when talking about messaging and helping the general public understand that you're offering a safe opportunity for them to come experience your cultural tourism. It doesn't have to be your story alone. You can reach out to partners, and that's just what we did. So within our capital city of Tahlequah, Oklahoma, we reached out to the Tour Tahlequah, the local chamber, and they were so gracious to partner with us on a video that would tell visitors coming to Tahlequah, if they were coming to any Cherokee Nation sites, one, that we were open and that we have these protocols in place.
Cherokee Nation Cultural Tourism and Tour Tahlequah are proud to announce that Cherokee Nation museums are now open to the public. In order to ensure the safety and comfort of patrons, the following social distancing guidelines and procedures are in place. All museums, excluding the Cherokee Heritage Center, are open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. We welcome you to come and enjoy the unique history and heritage that makes Tahlequah great. For more information, contact Tour Tahlequah or visit www.visitcherokeenation.com/attractions.